That's Retro Fandango. That's Retro Fandango. When it's Android over iPhone, and you can keep your stupid amiibo and always bashing on Nintendo. But that's Retro Fandango. That's Retro Fandango. Thanks, Retro Fandango. Wow!
Here we are, Retro Fandango, episode number 229. How does it feel? How does it feel to have 228 episodes under the belt, and you're now on 229?
And more if you count those long lost film dangos.
That's true. There are the film dangos.
Probably closer to like 250 or so.
Yeah. It reminds me a lot of the last episode of The Wonder Years, which was
segue.
Which was broken up into 2 episodes on the DVD.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of the bonus features on the DVD was the full 1 hour episode, because I guess they had like a full hour special as their last episode. But the regular DVD, in the regular DVD menu, was the syndicated, broken up into 2 episodes versions, where you have like last time and, you know, to be continued a little bit. Which kind of,
the purists out there, you can see both versions.
Well, but that kind of annoyed me that it wasn't like it was stuck in the bonus section. It should have been like right there, because I would have preferred to watch the 1 hour special, like I was watching the finale again, like I did.
Yes. Way
back in 1993. I can't do the math. Let's see. It's 2023. Carry the 1. I mean, 30 years ago. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. So I finished the Wonder Years.
All right.
There you go.
Six seasons, was it?
It was six seasons. Okay. Apparently, they were not sure if it was going to be the finale or not, because they were kind of up in the air on whether or not they were coming back. And it wasn't until, like, they had a feeling that it was going to be the last episode. So they kind of, story-wise, they kind of left everything open. And when they got the official word that they were not coming back the next season, that's when they had Daniel Stern do the voiceover to wrap the series up.
Okay, that's what I was gonna say. Is like I don't remember the last episode, but I know I did watch it, and I remember, spoilers, doesn't he talk about somebody died?
Yep.
Okay, so yeah, I was assuming that might have been a last minute, let's discuss this in a voiceover and, put a bow on it that way.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
So because of that hurried production at the end, it is widely considered to be one of the poorest endings, because it does end on a bit of a bummer. Can I tell the spoilers? I mean, the show is 30
I don't think anyone is going to care very much.
So the one big thing is that Winnie and Kevin Arnold do not carry on their relationship. They do not get married and live happily ever after. But apparently that was the intention of the creator from day one. It's like, how many people end up with their high school sweetheart as their forever and one? Like, there are exceptions. There are some.
Duke, for one.
That's right. Yeah. So you
Dukes
may
are
know
happily ever after.
But he's like, the law of averages are that you do not end up with your move on. And basically they built that up by she was it was almost like Dr. Bashir in Deep Space Nine, where all of a sudden it's revealed that they're super smart. He's super smart. Well, there was a whole season where they were building up to their SAT scores, which being Canadian still kind of confuses me. I'm not exactly sure what the SATs are and why they're so important, but they are to Americans. Yeah. Apparently,
you don't do that.
No.
No, they just give you a pen and send you to high school.
No, they take our grades, and the colleges and university use our actual grades to decide whether or not they want to admit you into school. Whereas this they seem to narrow it down to like a test, just this one, like how well you did on your SATs determines
Yeah,
what you do for the rest of
I'm
your
with
life.
you there. I'm
That,
with you there because it's the same thing in Japan that, there's this big test to get into
yeah,
high school. Like,
it
what
seems
happened
like
to the last 4 years? What about that stuff?
yeah, and it seems like a lot of pressure to put on kids. Like you gotta like
Yeah.
if you do well on this test, you're fine. But if you don't do well, you can't take the test again, or I don't know. I don't know what the
Yeah,
criteria is.
well, I'm having a hard time remembering the US style with the SATs, but I do know in Japan it's a one-time thing. And yeah, if you screw it up, if you just buckle under pressure, then it's like, all right,
Yeah,
well, you can't go to the school you want to. Go to one of these
that's
schools.
that is just plain silly.
Horse hockey.
Yeah. So it turns out Winnie Cooper is a genius because she scores really high on her SAT. So she's going to, a high level school where Kevin Arnold is just he's only above average. So he just
Hmm.
goes to normal college or whatever. So yeah, so they do not end up together. And another thing that was shocking to viewers, and in hindsight, when you look at the series and how it was built and created, his father passes away,
Hmm.
and throughout the entire series, it is always stressed on how he puts his dad on a bit of a pedestal, and how much he didn't really appreciate his dad, and like the voiceover is now that he's looking at it as a father, he
Hmm.
appreciates more what his dad was trying to do, and he understands why he was distant at times, because he was trying to protect his son from some realities, just stuff that he felt like he didn't really need to deal with or whatever. Um, and then yeah, it turns out in the final episode that he did pass away, and a lot of the stuff was like the entire series is from Daniel Stern's memories,
Right.
perception of his memories, but his dad was always put on that level, where he's really revered, and it makes sense. It really does. Like there's always when he'd have an argument with his dad, it was always done within the context of regret. Like I really regret
Hmm.
this argument I had with my dad over this, that, and the other. But that was really the genius of the show, was that Kevin Arnold is an asshole. Like he is not, but he's a kid, right?
Yeah.
He's trying to make his way. He's trying to figure things out. He makes a lot of mistakes, and the voiceover ties everything into, well, now that I'm looking at this through my maturity, and
Right.
I mean, I gotta admit, when I was a teenager, I was a pretty much an asshole too. So I couldn't imagine, like, just looking back at, like, having, like, to actually sit there and watch what I did as a teenager would be, oh my god, I'd be so embarrassed. I would cringe a lot. But
Hmm.
anyways,
Well, that's the appeal of the show and why it's probably good to revisit it now that you've done because you first saw it from the perspective of Kevin
yeah,
Arnold, teenager. Now you see it as Kevin Arnold, full-grown adult.
yeah. When that show
Yeah.
aired, I still am the exact same age as with Fred Savage.
Fred
Um,
Savage.
so yeah, no, when the show aired, it was exactly how. And now I'm watching it. I'm older than the parents now, because Jack
Yeah.
Arnold's like 42. I'm like, wow, 42. I remember that 5 years ago.
Yeah. Well, he was a rough 42.
Yeah, and his mom was her age is with 35 to 41. That was her span throughout the show.
All right. Mhm.
So, anyways, good series. It stayed solid. I think throughout its entire run, it was totally worth a watch. You know, uh, there was a lot of complaints too that Kevin Arnold didn't really grow up with experiences and stuff that normal 17-year-olds would. But apparently, a lot of that had to do with the fact that the show was put on at 8 o'clock at night, and the network
Mhm.
had certain standards. So his friends would get into antics and getting
Well, that was a common thing.
right.
Yeah.
But he himself would until the final episode where him and Winnie finally got together, if you know what I mean.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. that was their goodbye to each other. But yeah, good series. I enjoyed it. Would recommend.
All right. Now everyone just has to find a copy of that coveted DVD set that's
Yeah.
floating around out there somewhere.
Well, maybe I could be convinced to put it onto Creepy Josh's Plex, because
Oh my goodness.
I have been enjoying the Plex quite a bit. Have you partaken in the Plex?
The last time I did use the Plex, um, before it was mentioned, but a few months back, I think when I watched Avatar finally, I had
Yeah.
watched it on his Plex. Um, and I was very glad that I did not purchase the film.
Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't really scrolled through it in a while, and there was always a ton of content there,
Hmm.
film and television. But I know he was pretty regular, and like every couple of weeks, he'd be like, "Okay, here's a few more things. Here's a few more things," and so I imagine it's quite a healthy menu at this point.
Yeah, it's up. I think he's got around 1,400 movies on there. I don't know how many
Hmm.
TV shows, but there's a lot of movies. I will say a little bit of a criticism. I don't know if it's criticism. More of a I don't know, a thing that needs to be worked out, figured out, is subtitles, because uh, so we watched, so for Bad Movie Night this past Saturday, we watched Piranha 3D
Oh,
and
okay. I'm
Piranha
curious about that one.
3DD, 3 or 3 double D, depending on how you wish to pronounce it. Now, Piranha
Hmm.
3D was fine, but Piranha double D had subtitles throughout it that were like burnt in. So I know that's got to do
Oh,
with
okay.
like the file that he must have downloaded or something like that for it. But then I also, on my own, I watched the movie Sisu,
Sisu?
which for the most part, it's either there's no speaking or it's in English, but there's a couple of lines of dialogue that did have like required subtitles.
Hmm.
And I tried to figure out how to turn them on, and I went in and I selected English, and there would be nothing there. So I don't know what he can do about that. You may
Hmm.
need to re-download Piranha 3 double D, but yeah. Okay. So you want to talk about Piranha 3D?
I've
Piranha.
never seen it, so I mean, I'm assuming Piranhas. This is the Joe Dante film that was like a
No,
rip off of Jaws.
no.
No.
I think we would have been better off if we watched that. There was that. So Joe Dante, I think, did Piranha, and then James Cameron did Piranha 2, I think, or I got that mixed up. Anyway,
Something about it. That sounds familiar.
so they brought the series back in around 2010, 2010.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so
All
this
right.
is the comeback. So in 2010 they came out with Piranha 3D, and then in 2012 they came out with Piranha 3 Double D.
Oh, okay. I have heard of the cover for that, like the movie poster,
Yeah, yeah.
and
Um,
it is exactly what you think it is.
yes. Both of the movies suck. And not
Naturally.
but not even in that fun way. Like we did watch
Mhm.
it for Bad Movie Night. We had a bunch of people over. We were all watching it, getting ready to knock it and everything, and we did. But it wasn't really there. It's kind of weird with schlock. Go. You can't make it too good. It loses its charm if there's too much technical like I don't know. It's like
It cheap humor and cheap schlock need to be cheap. You can't spend a lot of money on it.
yeah,
It's gotta have. It's like a Saturday Night Live sketch. One of the reasons I'm talking, of course, of classic Saturday Night Live. I don't know what they're doing now. But one of the reasons why the stuff is funny is because they didn't put a lot of time or money into it. It's just
yeah.
do the joke.
Well, especially the original era of SNL, where it'd be like
Mhm.
like Chevy Chase would play Gerald Ford, and he'd just come on camera and say,
And
"I'm
fall
Gerald
down.
Ford," and you're like, "Okay, well, he's Gerald Ford now," you know. And then it really started in around our era where they would get more and more makeup on,
Yeah.
but they like, but it's hard to explain. Like the makeup would be almost part of the joke, where like for instance when Dana Carvey would do Carcinio, which was like that mashup of
Mhm.
Johnny Carson and Arsenio
Right,
Hall.
Arsenio Hall, yeah.
Right. And he would have like the flat top, but he'd look like Johnny Carson, and he'd
Yeah.
have like these really long fingers, you know, because like
Yes, yeah.
you know, like that would it would be part of the joke. It would kind of like that to me was perfect, you know, like they kind of just would use it to enhance the joke. And then by the time you got to like, you know, 2000, 2005, the Daryl Hammond stuff and that, it would be like they would completely change the actor to look like the person they were impersonating. And to me, that was
Yeah.
like you went a little too far, you know?
Mhm. It's like they're putting too much effort into the visual appeal, but that's not the style of humor.
Yeah. I don't
Mhm.
know. Anyways, that was a little tangent. Anyways, so
Mhm.
yeah, so it's kind of the same for Piranha 3D. The movies were at their best. Like the special effects are horrible. They're all horrible CG effects. They look really bad. That's when the movies were at their best because the CG was so bad that it kind of made it a little bit good.
Mhm.
But then when it came to, um, I don't want to say plot because that'd be a little too much, but when it came to the story and the acting, like they had, was the first one had Elizabeth Shue in it.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
who
the original, not this 20
no 2010
3D.
3D. I have not
Oh,
seen
okay.
Piranha 1 and 2. I'm starting we started right with the 3D. Mostly
Okay.
because that is where the gang wanted to start. The gang that watched the bad movies, they said these are the bad movies we want to watch. So I checked the
Mhm.
Plex and they were on the Plex. So I said, come on over and we'll watch 3D and 3D. The
Mhm.
first Piranha and the second Piranha. I have the first Piranha on one
You
of those
do?
horror. Yeah, on one of those horror collection.
Oh, boy, that's expensive around me.
So I do want to watch it. But anyways, um, yeah. So Elizabeth Shue's in it, and you know, like she's just too good for the material. You know, like she's just too
Uh, yeah.
good of an actor. And then Jerry O'Connell is in it as well, and he kind of
Oh,
plays
wow.
this
Okay.
cheesy, like you remember those Girl Gone Wild videos with that guy, like they would come on like,
What did you watch?
well, it would come, they would do infomercials for these Girl
Oh,
Gone Wild
oh, okay.
videos.
Yeah, those like sold on TV
Yeah,
VHS things. Yeah, okay,
yeah, like
okay.
you're finished watching SNL, and then all of a sudden, like a half-hour commercial for a porno would come on, right? And it'd be Girls
Yes,
Gone
yes,
Wild, and
yes.
have that cheesy
Mhm.
guy, and well, so he kind of plays that kind of character, which okay, like, but I don't know, it just they were a little too good, you know, they were too good. The Ving Rhames is in it as well, um, you know,
Okay, yeah,
the
it
cast was
sounds
too
like
good.
this sounds like a nobody movie where you just have a bunch of unknown terrible actors.
Well, I mean Jerry O'Connell, I've
Hmm.
seen do good stuff. I mean, he was great in Stand By Me as a child actor, and
Yeah, sure.
I've seen him do. And Elizabeth Shue won an Oscar at some point, right? Didn't
I know at least she was nominated, Leaving Las Vegas, right? She's
right,
really
you
good in
know,
that.
and Big
She's
Rames,
in
I don't
Back to
know.
the Future series.
That's right, yeah. Well, she's in 2 and 3.
She's in
Anyways,
Karate Kid. She's in like a lot of good
that's
stuff.
right. So you know, it's just I don't know. Like they, it's I don't know. There was just something that wasn't working about it. Like if it had practical effects or something like that, something like
Yeah. Mhm.
to kind of buy into the schlockiness stuff of it, but they kind of went really super cheap on the visual effects and went too expensive on the uh, acting and plot. And I don't know. It was boring. It was just boring. Even for like a movie that was like an hour and 20 minutes, it was kind of too long for the
Mhm.
thing. Like they find the piranhas There was some company that was drilling underneath the lake, and they found a subterranean lake, and the piranhas were down in there. And then the piranhas come out. They kind of do like a whole Alien rip-off thing where they go down to explore like this underground cave, and they find the eggs, and the eggs
Mhm.
start bursting out and attacking the divers. It was a complete rip-off of Alien. It's just, I don't know. It just when it was just a bunch of stupid effects, just computerized effects, and that, I don't know. Anyway, so then Triple D. Now we decided to. We weren't impressed with Piranha 3D, but we decided to watch 3 Double D because this one was supposed to be more schlocky. Like they kind of leaned heavily into the schlock, but it was just more of the same. They did get David Hasselhoff in the film to kind of do the exact same thing he did in the SpongeBob movie, where he just kind of plays himself. Yeah, where he just plays himself. Spoiler alert: Ving Rhames comes back, even though he's eaten in the first one. I don't know. It just neither of them really
It's
work.
just one of those movies where it tries to be funny and quirky, and look, it's one of those B movies. It's really terrible, but it's so much fun, and it's not because they intentionally try to catch that vibe. And you can't do that.
It's too self-aware. It's just
Yes,
they like every time they would do something, it's almost like as if they're pausing, like, eh,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah,
but don't boom, like they're, like it's just how it was made. It felt like they were too self-aware, and if they needed to
exactly. Yeah,
just lean in heavily on, like, wait, if you're gonna make schlock like that, you got to lean in heavily on it. Like, just make it as cheesy as possible. You know?
yeah. It comes from the lack of budget and trying to be creative and go beyond, what you're capable of, and not quite getting it.
Yeah, yeah. I
Like they,
get.
they really have to strive to make a quality film, but be somewhat inept or not have the money or
Yeah, like it loses its charm, right?
loses its charm. Yeah,
And
there's
it's like they tried to lean into like the Scream movie kind of thing. Like we're self-aware, we understand what's like all the plot uh cliches and everything, but we're
right.
gonna do the thing anyways. I don't know. It didn't really work.
Well, yeah, I mean, at the same time, they may know it's not working, but you've got two audiences. You've got the audience that's just gonna lap it up and like, ha ha ha, look how silly, look how cheap, like the Sharknado movies.
Right.
And that's your kind of blinds, like we're not thinking about film as film. Just
Yeah.
it's something to look at, and we look up from our smartphones once in a while and chuckle at the TV. And then you got people that are actually trying to judge it as a film, which it's not. It's just cheap entertainment.
Yeah. Which I'm fine with. I do like that kind of stuff. It just, I don't know. It needs, you got to go all in. I think if you're gonna go
A
schlock,
little heart, and you got
yeah,
to have some charm, and,
yeah.
and those movies are devoid. Speaking of which, I have one of those on my list right here. It's almost exactly the same issues you were talking about. I was just out in the shop and I saw you've heard of the Death Race movies, right?
Yes, I almost watched Death Race 2000 last night.
Okay, because that's what I thought I was getting.
No,
I
you
went
got
to
the
the
Jason
store.
Statham one.
I did see that one. I did watch that
Okay.
on Netflix years back, and I was like, there's something there. The idea of Death Race and cars driving around smashing into each other and just kind of like extreme racing sounds fun. I've never seen the original. The original was Stallone and
Yeah, I think
what's his
David
face?
Carradine.
David Carradine. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I was out and I saw this. It's called Death Race 2050. Roger Corman's Death
Oh,
Race 2050. And it's got a really nice cover. Sorry for those of you listening, but it's got one of those painted artwork covers,
yeah,
and it's got some goofy looking cars and costumes, and on the back it's people in weird costumes and stuff. And I thought, oh, this is going to be fun. Roger Corman, he made a bunch of, cheap movies way back when, and I'm looking at the cars here. I'm like, those are going to be practical cars with like stupid stuff on them. This is going to be fun. I didn't have my reading glasses when I went to the store. I did not see that this movie was made in 2017. So this, just like
Okay.
your Piranha movies,
Yeah.
is intentionally trying to be goofy and like, look at this. Look at this crazy
Mm,
character.
yeah.
And yeah, like 30 seconds in, I realized this is a bad move. But I did watch the entire thing, all 93 minutes of it. And it's not, I don't know. I think if you watch this, you'd probably have a Piranha 3D reaction where it's just too self-aware
Mm.
and they're trying too hard to capture that goofy vibe, and it just comes off as cheap and poorly written, poorly acted. Everything is just. But then it gets distributed by Universal. It's like, well,
Well,
I don't know.
yeah.
I absolutely love the Universal logo. When I watch a movie that's been put out by Universal and the letters come around the earth and you get the music swelling and everything, I think, wow, that's great. I love that. When I watch Tremors or something and the Universal logo comes up, makes me so happy. Then you see some garbage like this. Oh boy.
Well, I'm assuming they used Roger Corman's name because he's tied into the original movie, I guess. Is that
Yes,
okay?
yes, and I'm sure I'm sure he's credited as like an executive producer or something on here, or maybe they just used his name. Oh no, no,
Yeah.
it says produced by Roger Corman, which I don't know. That's nothing
Right.
crazy. He's whatever. They got me. I
Well,
still like the cover though.
how much did you pay for that movie?
$5.
Okay. Well,
Dang. I really do like the cover. It's a nice
yeah.
cover. I wish that it's better than just those. I'm gonna make fun of Iron Man for this. Those Iron Man covers where it's just the Photoshop of different faces and different sizes.
Yeah.
Uh,
I Well, maybe we can convince Creepy Josh to put Death Race 2000. The
I wish I had watched it because that was all over Tubi years ago.
Yeah, I think it is still on Tubi, and I did legitimately almost watch it last night, but I ended up watching a little bit of this movie called Trucks instead,
Hmm.
which
This is not a Pixar thing. It's not their
no,
Cars universe or
no, no,
planes
no, no,
or
no.
things.
So Stephen King wrote a short story called Trucks. And then
Hmm.
he kind of took a little bit from that short story and he put it into
Maximum
his
Overdrive.
film, his big flop of
his
a film, Maximum Overdrive. But
his masterpiece.
it wasn't like he just took some ideas from that, right? So
Hmm.
this was the actual film adaptation of the original short story, and it is unwatchable. I think I lasted maybe 10 minutes. It's just really
I'm
bad.
I'm guessing supernatural truck still.
Yeah, the trucks all come to life. They're in like a small town, and the small town is frequented by aliens quite often. So you would get like
Hmm.
these strange characters coming into the town. It's loosely based on, I guess, Roswell. It's kind of like a Roswell idea. But a lot of people who are there to see aliens are, coming into the town, especially during the summer, right? They go on their summer vacation and this is where they go because they want to see a UFO. So it's all about this small town that doesn't have a lot of resources. It kind of has a little bit of a Tremors vibe to it,
Hmm.
but I'm upselling this way too much because it
Okay.
is not on any sort of level like those movies. It's just really poorly acted, and there were a couple of scenes where the trucks would turn on and the person would be standing there and then they turn like, oh my god, the truck is like by itself, it's coming towards me, and then cut at it, like you don't see
Hmm.
anything.
Wow, they couldn't even drive a truck.
No, I don't know. It just, anyways, it wasn't. And plus, it was like a postage stamp little thing on Tubi. Like it was just a little. I couldn't expand it to full screen, so I was forget this so-called movie. So don't waste your time with trucks.
No.
I did see Cop Car on there though, and I almost clicked on that too. That was you recommended
Cop Car's
that,
okay.
right? Yeah.
Cop Car's okay. Yeah.
Well, it's still on my list. Okay. What else? What else have you been watching? I got
I
more
got some
stuff, but-
Stephen King on my list here.
Oh, there we go. See, we're segueing all over here.
Yeah, I actually had a lot of success with some pickups recently. Many of them in the $5 range. All right, I'll start with the Stephen King one. This was $5, I believe, when I got it. I found a copy of Carrie, which I had
Okay.
never seen before, and I watched it and I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I really liked this movie. I do know that it's even on here. There was a 2013 remake
Yeah.
of this film, and I'm going to guess, I've not seen it, but I'm going to guess that the 2013 remake did not start with a prolonged slow motion shot of the girls' locker room.
Probably not.
Because I'm watching this movie, and then there's quite a lengthy trucking shot across
Mhm.
a high school locker room with a bunch of completely nude girls running around.
Well, good thing you got it
Probably
in
wouldn't
Blu-ray.
do that anymore.
You got the high
Yeah.
fidelity Blu-ray.
Well,
Watch
one
that.
thing I was very surprised to see is Karen Allen was in this movie, who
Mhm.
of course played Officer Ann Lewis in RoboCop.
Right.
And in RoboCop, she's portrayed as the, kind of tough, somewhat tomboyish of the 80s era, that kind of a female character. She's totally the blonde, like bimbo, the leggy blonde or brunette, or maybe she had more auburn hair. I forget. But she's that total stereotype, super thin, bony, antagonist girl in here, and she looks totally different in RoboCop. Just saying
She's an
that's
actress.
that's the
She
power of an actress. There you
she can
go.
act. I saw her in another movie. I think
Mhm.
she was in Thief with James Caan, and she was good in that. She played a prostitute in that.
Did I just call her Karen Allen? I'm sorry, Nancy
No,
Allen.
Nancy Allen.
Nancy
Right.
Allen. I'm sorry.
I
I
didn't
think I
catch
got
that
her
either.
confused with Raiders of the Lost Ark actress. What's her name?
Karen Allen.
Is that her?
I think so. I think
Yeah.
it's Karen. Anyways.
Okay.
We got Chris Roberts here. Hello, Chris
Hey,
Roberts.
hey. We're
Well,
not talking about tapes. We're talking about Blu-rays.
well, speaking of RoboCop, I
Mm-hmm.
did watch a tiny little bit of the RoboCop TV series.
Oh, that's all you should ever watch.
I was on so I have like a bunch of streaming services on my Roku. I don't know if I mentioned this, but I don't have any streaming services that I pay for.
Yeah, you got rid of them all.
Got rid of it all. Don't have it all. So I have a bunch of free ones on my Roku, and I was just kind of going through like trying to clean it up a little bit because there's a bunch I downloaded and probably watched like one thing on it or whatever. So one of them was this sci-fi thing. So I opened it up and I clicked on it. The very first thing that popped up was RoboCop the TV series.
Mm-hmm.
So I clicked on that. Let's watch that. And I well, first of all, the number one mistake they made is that they have it in 16:9 and they crop the top and the bottom like really bad. Because like RoboCop has that readout that comes out on his thing, and that's like cut in half, or even a lot of the graphics are cut in half. People's heads are cut off. It's
anything they can do to try to trick you into watching this old
4x3 4x3. It was fine. 4x3.
I know, but younger people, they're not going to give it the time of day.
I guess so.
What is this? Some boomer show?
Anyways, I started watching. I forgot how Toronto that show is because that show was shot in Toronto. So you have instead of Lisa Gibbons as the news anchor, it's Erica M, who was on Much Music, which was the Canadian version of MTV. So she's there with the big hair and all that stuff. And then I saw there was the guy on the Red Green show. I know I'm talking all Swedish to Richard right now, but there was a show in Canada called Red Green, and he had a sidekick, Harold, who had like this computer, like he would do all the graphics for the show. Like he would just stand there and he had like, it was basically like a keyboard with a Commodore 64 duct tape to it. And he would do like all the graphics for the show with this thing. I don't know. Anyways, he was in the show as well. But I was impressed with how the show at least attempted to stick to, like, I only watched the first 10 minutes of one episode because basically they made me sit there and watch a commercial and then the episode started and that was fine. Then I watched 10 minutes. And then when I got to the first commercial break, they wanted me to sit through 5 ads. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that. Forget that. Get rid of this ad. But within that first 10 minutes, I was at least impressed with how they tried to stick with the whole social commentary of RoboCop. Like there was a lot of tongue-in-cheek stuff. The cops were very tongue-in-cheek. Basically RoboCop. There was a guy. They kind of implied that he is the guy from the first movie that gets dipped in the acid, even though he gets run over by a car and his parts go flying all over the place. But he's kind of in a building with a rocket launcher, of course, and he's got hostages, and he's telling the cops, like, I want RoboCop here because RoboCop, his actions are what caused me to be covered in acid, and he ruined my life because my face is all messed up and everything like that.
Right.
So RoboCop, they're waiting for RoboCop to show up. The cops are, talking, and one of the news announcers, comes up and says, "Hey, maybe this guy wants an interview with TV personality like me, kind of thing," trying to get into the thing. It was all kind of done tongue in cheek. And then finally RoboCop shows up. And the guy fires his rocket launcher at the car. RoboCop just gets out like, just another rocket launcher being thrown at me there.
Yep, relieve all tension right away.
Right. Goes upstairs. All the hostages were like he was in an old age home, so they're all old people, like ready for bed. They're all in their robes and everything, and they have all wires tied to them because he has them all tied up ready to explode. And RoboCop just basically goes in and throws them out the window, and the guy survives that. It was very cartoony. It felt very like this acid guy felt like a very, very much like a cartoon villain. And
they've tried to maintain that in every iteration that I've seen. I will say again, the TV show, I watched the pilot episode a couple months ago, and it was terrible. But they did one later on, another Canadian production called RoboCop Prime Directives.
Yeah.
And they were like 4, I want to say 1 hour, possibly 90-minute episodes of this TV show. Almost Columbo-ish, like a movie of the week kind of feel to it. And those were better. They were better. They strove for a darker tone. They're still cheap, and they're still like, I don't know, I could be watching something else, but it's not bad as far as if you wanted to make a RoboCop television show back in I believe that was the early 2000s. Nowadays, you could just make a full-on RoboCop TV show where there's cursing and blood and over-the-top violence and all that. But for the time, I guess that was the better version of a TV show for RoboCop.
Yeah. Well, I will say that 10 minutes did make me want to see more of that TV show. Maybe it falls off a cliff, but I was digging the cartoony vibe of it.
He's got his little hockey puck explosive. Like
that's
pops
right.
out of his leg.
Throws at the door, and
Yeah. And then it's just an excuse for an explosion where there doesn't need to be an explosion.
You gotta have one, man. I don't know. I thought it was kind of fun. So I don't know. Maybe
Nice costume. The costume was,
well,
fair enough. You got to shoot it right. You got to light it correctly and shoot it correctly, but still decent costume.
I gotta say, the actor that they got to be RoboCop, like I don't know. It just seems like
Oh, yeah.
it seems like Peter Weller was like the only guy that could ever do RoboCop.
He was the only guy that could pull that off, that approached it with just the right mentality
Yeah.
to, take that element seriously of like how it would move and how it would look, just as a performer. This is my movement. This is the art that I'm bringing to this. I'm putting the time into figuring out how to move effectively.
Like I don't know. Like I don't know what order they shot RoboCop in. Maybe it has a lot to do with Paul Verhoeven's direction, but maybe he really benefited from playing Murphy for the most part of that movie, for at least half of that movie. He is Murphy.
Well, he's
And
Murphy for about 20 minutes.
is that all it is? It's like 20 minutes?
It's pretty fast.
I remember there were flashbacks, but maybe there are not a lot.
He's Murphy for just a couple of scenes. You get him, and they really hammer his name home. If you watch that movie,
Oh yeah, yeah,
how
yeah.
many times they call him Murphy,
Yeah.
and then his locker door slams shut, Murphy, right on there. They really want to
Nobody
hammer
calls
it
him.
home.
Nobody outside of like the people who were marketed to, like
Mhm.
the outside fringe people who are marketed RoboCop, they call him RoboCop, but all of his friends that they all call him Murphy, right? Like,
Yeah,
uh,
that's the closing line of RoboCop 3.
right? Yeah, yeah,
It's like my friends call me Murphy,
right,
but you can call me. Title comes in RoboCop.
right, right, right. Um, well, I don't know. I don't know if Peter Weller benefited from that, and all these other actors are just RoboCop. I don't
hmm
know, but like it seems like
Yeah.
Peter Weller approached the character as Murphy. Even when he was RoboCop, he was like Murphy programmed to do these things, right? Whereas just like I don't
Right.
like the other actors just seem to be doing character. How do you say it?
Caricatures.
What are those words? Of RoboCop. He's not actually doing. I don't know. Anyways,
Yeah,
the actor
they're
was
not
bad.
playing. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know if you heard the whole story of it, but originally, Peter Weller, he got a mime coach to help him learn how to move, and they developed this really fluid movement where he was going to be like super slick and like just like machine precision. It was like whoop, 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 like real slick and everything. But then they finally got the costume. Took forever to put it on him, and then he realized I can't move. This I'm wearing a tank.
Hmm.
I can't do those smooth, fluid movements. And he got into a big argument with Paul Verhoeven, rightfully so, because he couldn't move, and they had to stop production. He had to figure out how to work this costume. And so they scrapped the whole fluid thing and decided everything is going to be one distinct movement. The head moves, the arm moves, the body moves. So even that performance came rushed, and he was
Hmm.
still able to, do that so well.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I still love the fact that they couldn't like RoboCop couldn't sit in the car. They could only put half the costume on him while he was
Yeah, he
driving.
couldn't sit in the car, and he couldn't catch the keys.
Oh right, yeah.
That was the first shot they did of like him catching the keys, and it took all day because it kept bouncing off the rubber.
That's hilarious.
Uh, but that was the filmmaking, they stuck to it. That's why it works.
Okay, where are we at here?
I got a whole bunch of movies I can show off.
Let's go. Let's do your movies.
Well, I want to say there is no greater feeling than going to the shop with your fingers crossed. Like today's the day I'm going to find that thing that I want,
Mhm.
and I'm going to find it for a good price. And it actually
Oh
happens.
my
Where it's like,
goodness.
not only is it just like, hey, I found something I like, it's you found the exact thing you hoped you would find. And I have been trying for many, many I would say at least a year now. Every time I go into a shop, I'm like, today's the day I'm going to find it. Finally found Blu-ray copy of Psycho 2,
Oh, well, there you go.
$5. I was so
Wow.
happy. I was very close to ordering it because it's not terribly expensive to just buy a new copy of this. But I was like, I'm going to find it someday. But at the same time, these kind of like slightly not, I wouldn't say obscure, but it's not like ama- it's not like The Exorcist where like everybody knows.
It's not really. I don't know. I suppose they're.
It's not a huge big title.
Yeah.
Like there are certain titles you're always going to see. This is not one of them. And
Not
sometimes
mass.
they
Not mass produced. I would say.
at least they usually tend to jack up the price for
Yeah.
a lot of these movies. And yes, I do agree. Midlife crisis media, Psycho 2 is super underrated. It's much better than you'd think it would be.
Yeah,
I
I
enjoy
remember it
it
not
quite a
being
bit.
very good.
I really enjoy it, and I think the ending, especially when you get to like the last 15-20 minutes, the psychological torture that's going on with Norman Bates, it really kind of peaks, and there's like some great stuff going on there.
Yeah, like I watched them a few years ago, and I watched 2, 3, and 4 in probably
Hmm.
the span of 4 days. And so, I can't remember what happens in 2. Is that the one where he's walking up the stairs and there was a picture that wasn't, it was a little off, so he fixes it, and then he.
No, I don't
That was
think
my
so.
favorite part.
Two is he's released. You know, he's deemed like he's served his time. You know, and then Vera Miles, Janet Leigh's sister from the first film, is here now saying like, "Hey, you can't release this monster. You got to put him back in jail." And then he goes home and he gets a job, and Dennis Franz is there.
Oh,
And
that's right. I forgot the Franz is in that.
Yeah, and then it's just, hey, weird stuff's going on. Like he's cured, he's gotten past all this, but then he's getting notes from mother, and phone calls from mother. What's
Oh
going on?
yeah.
And then like it's unclear. Is somebody doing this? Is it all in his head? What's going on? I enjoy it. I've been looking for
Maybe I did like it more than I thought. I don't know.
it.
It sounds good. I'll have to see
It- it's
what I
well
wrote.
done, and there is a kill in this movie that gets me almost as much as the shower kill. There's a
That
kill in this movie that the way it's shot, it's so brutal. It's all one shot, and slight spoiler, I'm going to say the word actress. The actress in the shot is the actual actress. They didn't cut to like a stunt person. Just
Richard Franklin. No, I gave it 2 stars.
not the mouth, not the mouth.
The mouth. Let's see. What did I say?
The mouth is clearly a prosthetic, but the one that gets me most is just one continuous shot. No cuts, just a nice wide shot.
Curtis gave it 3.5 stars. So he liked
Good
it.
movie.
There you go.
I mentioned The Exorcist. I was watching creepy movies during October. And Halloween night, I finally sat down and watched The Exorcist.
That's the first time you've seen it.
No. I have seen it
Okay.
before. It's the first time I've seen it in a long time.
Okay.
Maybe I did talk about this. I don't know. Did it?
I think.
I don't know. Anyway,
we
I
can
think
talk
I
about
talked
it.
about I wanted to watch it.
Okay.
But yeah, I watched the director's cut with the your favorite
Yep.
thing. Yep. And I really enjoyed it. It's a great movie. And I had it on this 2-pack premium twin pack DVD. But then I was out in the store and I was like, oh man, I gotta pick up Blu-ray for that. I gotta upgrade. So now I gotta watch it again with some high definition in the creepy makeup. What's up, Ryan? I did find a lot of $5 stuff. So I upgraded a few DVDs that I have to Blu-ray. I got you love the Kubrick, I know.
Yeah.
So I got
Oh yeah.
Clockwork Orange.
Good old.
I got 2001. I got Die Harder.
Oh my god. You poor
And Die
guy.
Harder with a Sam Jackson.
Oh my god.
I
Did you
know
get
they
any
were- they
good movies?
Yes, I upgraded my cuckoo's
Oh,
nest.
that's a great movie. Right on.
And another one of your favorites, I picked up Fight Club.
Yeah. Fight Club. That was one of the first movies I watched on DVD.
Mm-hmm.
I probably have said this before, and the
Yes, you
DVD
have. Go
the
ahead,
DVD
say it again.
ruined the movie for me because I'm sitting there and I see this flash
Hmm.
of Brad Pitt, and I'm like, what the heck was that? What's wrong with this DVD? And I went back frame by frame, and there he was. I'm like, oh, Brad Pitt's all in his head.
Mm.
Yeah.
I know if you can't get past that, I'm
Thank you,
sure
Sauce.
there's some more in there.
All right.
I do remember 2001 being quite slow, but sometimes
tried.
you want to watch a movie for more than just the pacing. I want to see those practical effects in high definition, a great space station spinning around. I want to see all the stuffs, all the stuffs. All right, well, I got two movies here that I know you're gonna flip over. It's right up your alley.
All right, I'm ready to flip.
Here's one that I have never seen before, and I didn't get it on Blu-ray though. But they had a DVD for like real cheap, like $3 or something. The Magnificent Seven.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah. I have
that's a
never
good one.
seen this before. I enjoyed it very much, and I always love seeing an old, a young Charles Bronson in things, because Charles Bronson was such a good actor before he became Paul Kersey in Death Wish 3, which is how I always think of him,
Yeah.
specifically Death Wish 3, because I watched that movie so many times as a kid, and that's all I knew of him. But then you see him in, The Magnificent Seven, or Once Upon a Time in the West, or some of the old action movies he did. And that guy, he was a beast. He was like so muscled up in
Yep.
some of those early roles. This one movie, I don't remember the title of it, but there's a still of him holding a guy up, and his biceps are so huge. Like that guy was just ripped.
Midlife Crisis here wants to know if you watched the Chris Pratt one. I have not.
No, in fact, every time I see a remake of a classic film, I intentionally turn my head and say, "Why? Why?" That happened. Oh gosh, just yesterday I was out somewhere and I saw something. I can't even remember what it was, but it was some remake. And like, why did you remake this? The original one is fine. What do you do?
I think the only
Uh,
series that they have ever brought back that was great was Mad Max. I think that's it. Like
oh
just
yeah. Fury
brought
Road
out
was
of
fun.
brought out of retirement kind of thing. Like haven't done a movie in like 30, 40 years. So it's like that Mad Max is it. There's no other, like every time they try, it's like, yeah, it's not working.
Hmm. Well,
If you can think of
to be
another one.
fair, well, there are some things that were remakes that we think of the classic version was actually a remake. Something like The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing is the one that most people like to mention.
Yeah.
I know you don't like it, but David Cronenberg's The Fly, I think, is a great movie.
Yeah.
And that was a remake. Um, I I'm gonna get a lot of flack for this one, but I still quite enjoy the Brendan Fraser Mummy movie. I think it's a fine popcorn action movie. And
Speaking of that, I have a segue for that one.
okay, well, let me do my last pickup because
All
this one
right.
I was
Don't let me
super
forget.
excited about.
Don't let me forget.
I've been trying to find this for a while. I don't know why this is such a hard movie to find. Got myself an extra sexy copy. Over the
Nice.
top on Blu-ray. Look at this.
Nice.
You got the arm wrestling on the
Yeah.
slip cover here. Slip
Whoa.
cover. And on the back, look at that close up of those biceps.
That is a sexy Blu-ray. Or is that Blu-ray or DVD?
It's Blu-ray, and
Oh,
it's a
goodness.
great one because the case is black.
Oh
Look at that.
my goodness.
And
I
then
am
you
so
got the
jealous.
artwork there. of Lincoln Hawk with his truck, and inside here there's like little pamphlet-y things with all pictures and reproductions of little movie poster things.
I am flying over to Japan just to steal that. I'm just gonna sneak
Oh,
into your house, take that. That's going to be the only thing missing. Everything else will be left there.
I'm gonna show it all
Oh
off.
my goodness.
Go, and you got the nice artwork on the disc. Yeah.
That was so cool. They do not put as much effort into Blu-rays as they used to, but sometimes
Occasionally you
you get one.
find, a nice one. All right, that's all my pickups. What's your Mummy Brendan Fraser connection?
Okay, so you know the director of those Mummy movies, right?
Steven Summers.
What's the
Maybe
other
more?
what's the other movie that you're always plugging on here that he directed?
Oh, his masterpiece, Van Helsing.
I watched that piece of trash,
Oh, I
and
love it.
oh my goodness. I
I
don't
love it.
understand. I don't. So it's got terrible CG.
Hmm.
It's way over 2 hours. It's like 2 hours and 12 minutes long. It's
It's a
way too
lengthy
long.
movie, yeah.
So it breaks like every single one of your rules,
Hmm.
and yet you love it. I
I love it. I
I need to
really enjoy that
understand.
movie. I won't say that it's like a fantastic movie or that it's like a brilliant movie or that it doesn't have its issues, but I find it to be wonderfully over the top in
Hmm.
just that great way where they took the Universal monsters and said, let's reboot them in an action franchise. I really like the Dracula, who's like completely overacting. That whole introduction scene when in black and white, where they go back and the monster with Frankenstein and
Yeah, I went
everything.
on a little too long. And
I enjoy it so much. I like the little helpers he's got. At one point, Van Helsing picks up like these kind of Jawa helper guys, and he's got like gnashy teeth, and it's just so silly. That's my idea of. We were talking about the Piranha movies earlier, where it's a little tongue in cheek. It's like, I know this is silly. I know this is campy. Let me, just have fun with it. And I think in that way, it feels like it's done in a nice balance for me.
I
I love
did.
the look and design of Frankenstein's monster with
Yes,
the
I agree with
gaskets and the steam coming out of his
the
leg and
steampunk
everything.
leg. Yes, I do
Yes.
agree with you there. I thought the Frankenstein's monster was very well done. He's my favorite part of the film.
Hmm.
And that opening sequence, I wish like if they would have just if that was the whole movie, I'd be okay with it. Like, okay, let's
Hmm.
but it just I don't know, it just kind of went on way too long for me. It was very much just derived of all these other action films, like the guy with all the inventions and all that. That was
Oh yeah, it
Q.
was a James Bond.
Right. It was Q from James Bond.
Yeah,
He's got like
yeah.
this boss that's telling him to go out on assignment and all that stuff. Uh, but that. So yeah, the Frankenstein part happened. That's what it was. It was like the movie had two openings. It was like the Frankenstein thing, and then the
Yeah, the
Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
While he was Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, but they kind of insinuated that he was also the Hunchback of Notre Dame, right? Like he was kind of like he was Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, but he
Hmm.
was in the Notre Dame Cathedral with the bells
Okay,
and all
well,
that
yeah,
stuff.
using the imagery. Yeah.
Right. Well, I don't know. I think they were kind of implying that he was double dipping as the same monster or something like that because
Mhm.
he did have a hunchback and everything. Anyways, doesn't matter. It was like the movie had two openings. It was like just get to it
Mhm.
already. Like my goodness. Anyways, uh yeah, I was quite surprised because it did break a lot of your rules, and I was surprised that this was a
Oh, I
Richard
enjoy
movie.
it.
Richard
Yeah,
recommendation.
I same thing with the Mummy. It's like it's not a brilliant movie. It's got its flaws, and yeah, the CG is not attractive.
Yeah.
But I find them to be completely fine
Hmm.
as like, hey, you could just put this on and enjoy looking at images and listening to sounds.
That director has your number. He's dialed into
He
you.
he tickles a sweet spot.
He
Yeah.
keeps missing
Even
me.
when with it's like I think he knows how to keep the image entertaining, even if the script is subpar, because there are lots of plot holes and things that don't make sense and conveniences and stuff like that. But something as simple as when I think it was like Kate Beckinsale's character when she first appears, there's like this rotating camera,
Oh,
low angle, rise up on
yes.
her spin thing. There's this cage that like pops up out of the ground. It catches her foot and she does this like backflip for no reason, just because it's, hey, we're seeing stuff happen.
Uh,
I think it works well.
Midlife Crisis here wants to know if you have seen his previous movie, Deep Rising.
Deep
Steven
Rising.
Sommers.
No, Deep Rising. I don't know what that is.
Sounds like something to do with sharks or something. Monster movie at sea.
Monst-
There you go.
Ooh, all right. I'll check it out.
There you go.
Thank you
Write
very
that down.
much.
You have a recommendation.
Oh, and going back a little bit, yes, Death Wish 3 is the one where Marina Sirtis expired from a broken arm.
Oh,
And, she was brutally assaulted in other ways. Come on.
that was her nude scene. She's been
Yes.
traumatized by it, apparently.
Scorpion King is not a good movie. I did watch that a few months back.
I have it on HD DVD. I have not watched it yet. So
Treat Williams. Treat Williams is in Deep Rising. Now I gotta watch it.
yeah, Treat Williams and Facme Jensen.
Wow.
There you go. That sounds right up your alley. Maybe it's on Josh's Plex. See if Deep Rising.
Maybe.
It's on Josh's Plex.
Okay, we'll check it out.
All right, I rewatched for the upteenth time, but it's been a long time since I've seen it. What About Bob?
Oh yeah,
fantastic film. I did not know. I noticed this time. I caught it this time that Frank Oz is in the film as his.
Oh, he's in the film.
Yeah, he's got a little cameo as he is Richard Dreyfuss's doctor. You know, when Richard Dreyfuss is kind of losing it, and then he gets some doctor comes to the house to see him, and he wants him to evaluate Bob as well. And he's like, "Bob's fine." It's like, "You're the one who has the problems," kind of thing. That's Frank Oz.
Oh,
uncredited.
I don't remember this.
Well, he's uncredited. He wasn't in the credits anyways, because I was trying to look in the credits, but he's not in there anyways. But yeah, that was a good movie. And, Bill Murray kind of plays the same character in every movie, but that's like the one movie where he is just completely different. I mean, of course, there's Carl too in the Caddyshack movie. So he's got like Carl, then his sarcastic Venkman kind of persona, and then this, I think it's a bit of an underrated movie too, personally, but whatever.
Wait a minute. I can't get past this. I don't remember Frank Oz being in the movie. Frank Oz cameo. What about Frank Oz?
We've lost Richard. I'm sorry, everyone.
Doctor cameo. What about Bob? I don't remember this scene.
Well, he's in it. He's there.
This is when they're up at the lake?
Yes.
And the doctor comes to see him?
Yes.
At the house?
Yes. I can't remember at what point. It was something. Oh, he has a party. He's having a party. Remember? And or she was putting together a birthday party.
Oh, the surprise birthday party. When there's a bunch of people. Okay,
right. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Because all right. At least there, that's a wide shot. Lots of people. I'm like, where is the scene where?
No, but he's in the.
I don't remember that.
Once he passes out, right, and then so the party's kind of over, or he gets angry at Bob or something. I can't remember. Anyways, he's up in a room with just the family, and they're all around the bed while Richard Dreyfuss is there. Maybe I saw an extended cut.
Okay,
I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe my DVD has deleted scenes or something. I don't know.
I'm gonna have to watch this again. That was gonna be excuse me, my next point, you did watch it on DVD, correct?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Because I don't believe it ever got a Blu-ray
Nope,
release.
nope. And the
Yeah.
DVD is also a little postage stamp DVD kind of thing. But I was able to blow it up on my TV, and it looked for a DVD, it looked really good. So
Hmm.
there was some DVD magic happening there.
Hmm.
What else do we want to talk about? I also watched wow. We could briefly talk about the Barbie movie. I watched the Barbie movie. Have you seen the
The
Barbie
Barbie
movie?
movie?
The Barbie
No,
movie?
I have not seen the Barbie movie.
So
Did
this
your lights
movie,
go out?
it's getting dark.
Okay.
My lights did not go out. It's
I
just
started
getting dark.
looking at What About Bob. I came back and it's just super dark in your house.
It's the sun's going down. We did the time change thing, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, the Barbie movie. I don't know. So this movie is kind of like, if you're conservative, you hate the movie. If you're a liberal, you love the movie. Um, I don't know.
Really? Is there some political agenda to the Barbie movie?
I don't know. Apparently so. I don't know. Anyways, I watched the movie. The whole thing. It's kind of like the Wonder Woman movie, where it was just really overhyped, and you have to like this movie because it's made by women for women and all that. Look, I'm just a middle-aged white guy. A lot of the messaging,
You're telling me it's not to sell more toys?
it had very little to do with that, and more to do with Barbie's. Like, it seems to me like as if Mattel is in survival mode with Barbie, so they're trying their best to spin Barbie into, being empowering to women and not being, sex objects or whatever. I don't know. Anyways, a lot of the messaging in the movie, to me, as a middle-aged white guy, take my opinion with a grain of salt, was completely muffled. Like, I did not understand what the hell the movie was trying to say, right? Like, I did like how they created the universe. Like, so in America, it's a patriarchy society, right, where the men dominate and the women are the lesser sex or whatever. And as much as things have been trying to change in our society, a lot of it is still designed that way. And then over in the Barbie world, it's the opposite. The women, it's a matriarchal society, right? The women run the show. The men are, like Ken's job is beach. That's his job. He's beach. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't really have any sort of title. He doesn't have any sort of say or anything like that. And, just after watching like shows like Ted Lasso, where it's just like these topics and that are just held with such maturity. They're just done and written so well with such maturity, where it's not a struggle between men and women, but it's about coming together and learning, how to live together and treating each other as equals, and not that one is better or one is worse, right? It's that we're on an equal level. We have our strengths, we have our weaknesses, and we learn to work together with those strengths and weaknesses. It's just done so well. And then this movie comes out, and it's like, the men are bad, the women are good. And so basically, Ken comes over into our world, finds out about the patriarchy, and goes back into the Barbie world and changes things over.
Oh, wow. Is it that deep?
Yeah. And so it's like, okay, like, instead of like trying to come to an understanding, they just fight. They go to the beach and they fight. There's like a big battle and everything. And it's all, and they basically, the women, spoiler alert for the Barbie movie. I probably shouldn't be spoiling this, but I don't know. I don't think it's just it's so dumb that they manipulate the guy. They manipulate the men to go fight while they take the time to do their legislation thing and switch things around back to a matriarchal society, And to me, I don't know. It just seemed to be like such a lost opportunity to create something that would actually bring people together instead of just having them fight more. And then a lot of the stuff was just, I don't know what the hell they were talking about. I don't know. a lot of the movie, I just didn't know what they were talking about. So
Okay, I'm gonna look something up. Barbie movie, Barbie doll.
okay, what are you trying?
Are they selling Barbie dolls based on this movie?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Right?
I don't know. I know a lot of it
Uh,
is tied into Barbie nostalgia. Like they bring back a lot of the old Barbies, like what happened to this Barbie or whatever, and they have like the character in the Barbie world, and like there was a
okay,
pregnant.
so yeah, this is what I was checking. There is a Barbie doll based on Margot Robbie and one based on Ryan Gosling. So
Okay,
they're selling dolls.
yeah.
Message whatever, that's probably part of the marketing. I don't know, I haven't seen it, but
Well, like I said, like
I
it
think
seemed
bottom. I think you have a very good point. Yes, Mattel wants to be able to continue selling toys.
right.
They don't want Barbie to now become bashed and beaten and forgotten as some like archaic kids toy
Yeah,
that has no place in contemporary society. So they smooth it over with this movie. It's okay to keep buying Barbie dolls.
pretty
We're
much,
gonna keep
and
making money selling
like
toys.
they had Rhea Perlman on. She has a little cameo as the creator of Barbie, and she
Mhm.
comes on and like at first you're not supposed to know who she is, but obviously it doesn't take a genius to figure out who she is. And then she comes on, she's like, I'm the creator of Barbie, and all this rhetoric that Barbie is bad for children and all that. That's not what Barbie was ever designed to be, and blah blah. And she's just going on. I'm like, I don't know what the hell she's talking about. I don't know. But you go to the old letterbox there, and people love it and think it's the greast thing. So I'm like
Well,
I said,
yeah,
take my
I
opinion with a grain of salt.
no,
I just don't understand.
I can understand where you're coming from because I tend to have a cynical behind the scenes attitude when looking at anything and just like where is this movie coming from? What is the purpose here? And it seems to be, yeah, we want to keep making money. So we have to figure out a way to appeal to contemporary liberal people who might have an issue with us selling Barbie dolls so we can still sell Barbie dolls.
I guess. I don't
So
know.
I don't know. Is the movie was it entertaining in any way, or did you just
No,
get feel like the message was a little too
I didn't
heavy-handed?
know. I didn't know what the heck it was talking about. For the most part, I
Mm,
did not like. Like I said, I like the world, how they built the world and all that stuff.
mm.
But I'm just waiting for that level of maturity or something like to really talk about the. If you want to talk about this issue, and that because
Well, probably talking about that issue would have been better done without the product placement of Mattel and Barbie. If some other filmmaker put together a movie about dolls and image and did something like that, but when the corporation is involved, of course the bottom line is we just want to appeal to as many people as possible so we can sell some more Barbies, sell some more Transformers, sell some more
well,
GI Joes.
I don't think they tried to sell Barbie as much as they tried to sell the Chevy Blazer, because right in the middle of the movie there is an out and out commercial for the Chevy Blazer. It is friggin' ridiculous. Like, so they had to run away from some bad guys at some point. So they all pile into the Chevy Blazer, and the mom is driving around, driving. I got to lose these guys, and it like goes to a shot of the cam, and she pushes a button to put the Chevy Blazer into sport mode, and then she could like drive faster. I'm like, this is just a commercial for the friggin' Chevy Blazer. That
Huh.
was the only message that I got clear. As a middle-aged white man, I understand. I got to buy a Chevy Blazer. That I understood. The rest of it, I don't know what the hell it was talking about.
A pink one.
No, it was blue, and it did look
Oh.
nice. I did like it. I did like the look of it. I would never buy a Chevy Blazer,
Mhm.
unless I got like an extremely good deal on it.
What
Uh,
was Barbie's classic car? It was like a Corvette, a convertible. What did she
I
have?
remember, yeah, she
Was
had
it
a
was it a
Corvette.
brand?
It was a Corvette,
It,
but it was kind of like a Corvette like kind of thing. It was just a little
okay.
two-seater roadster, but it had like
Hmm.
a little bit of a look of a Corvette. It's in the
Okay.
movie. It's quite nice little car.
I had similar the other day my kids were watching the Lego movie. I haven't watched it, but I caught like little bits and pieces of it
Yeah.
as they were watching it, and I found the movie so annoying
Oh,
that it
Will
was just
Ferrell's in that movie too. He's in the Barbie movie and he's in the Lego movie.
oh boy,
Yeah,
he does all the toy movies.
I guess so.
But it was just I don't know, the humor and the constant breakneck pace of everything being like so fast and like just joke 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 thing move and just I don't know.
Well, so it's like you've said, they're too afraid people are going to look down at their other screen and not pay attention to what's up on the big screen.
Maybe
I do find that is a lot of the humor though today. They're not really saying anything that funny. They're just speaking really fast. They just talk fast,
Mhm.
and it's like a little trick to make you think that they're clever, but it's just really quick. You know.
Talk fast. And the other thing that got me, which is been an issue for a while, um, idiot lead characters. I understand it was Will Ferrell, but like it seems like the protagonist of movies, that movie in particular, is just an idiot that has absolutely no idea what's going on and just constantly makes stupid remarks and stupid decisions. I don't quite see the appeal. I understand it's comedy,
Well, it's a little
but when
bit
you
like
have your
well, like you're looking at a kids movie too, right? So it's a little bit of appealing to the kids wonder, sort of
yes,
that
to
big
some degree,
sort of
yes.
that big bird-ish kind of style where,
Naive, I can
naive,
understand.
yeah. Naivete.
Stupid is different.
Yeah, okay. Well,
Follow That Bird is a great movie.
I'm looking for it. I go to the children's section every time and try to find it. I do want to watch it. Maybe
That is a movie about acceptance and belonging, and you have a naive character who just wants to do the right thing and is manipulated.
Follow that
Frank
bird
Oz is in it too.
would be seen on a Plex server near you at some point. Who knows? It could
Ooh.
happen.
Oh yeah, I've got a DVD copy.
All right, I
I
did
got a
watch. I did watch.
anniversary edition DVD.
I did watch. So I watched this movie on Josh's Plex. Like I mentioned, the
Mhm.
subtitles were a little messed up. The movie Sisu. Have you heard of this movie, Sisu?
I don't know what a
Sisu.
seesaw. I know what a seesaw is.
So Sisu is the main character in this movie, and it's kind of a lot of people describe it as if it was John Wick got old and he was living
Okay.
in Norway and he's fighting a lot of Nazis. And I gotta say, I don't
Okay.
think the movie is like John Wick at all. In fact, I found it to be a little bit of poor quality myself. So the movie is about this prospector living in Norway during the tail end of World War II,
Mhm.
and or is it Finland? Finland or Norway? Oh God, geography's hard. What's the one right beside Russia? Is it Finland? I think it's Finland.
I don't think anybody wants to be beside Russia right now.
They just oh boy. Anyways, so that
I don't
country,
know.
that's that northern country, that's beside Russia. So the Nazis are retreating, right? Because they're losing the war. And as they're retreating back to Germany, they're doing the old scorch earth business, where
Mhm.
they're just laying waste to towns and that, and putting mines in, and just destroying everything on their way back to Germany because they're pissed that they're losing the war.
Mhm.
On their way to back to Germany, they run into this prospector, Sisu, who has just come into this big fortune. He is, always looking for gold, and he finds this
Mhm.
big vein of gold out there in the northern tundra. So he digs that up and he cuts it up and he puts it in his bags and he puts it on his horse, and he's headed back home. On his way back home, he runs the Nazis and him. The two converge. They meet up.
Mhm.
So the Nazis have been just killing everything, whatever's in their way. They see this guy on his horse. Hold on. Let's not kill this guy right away. Let's have some fun with him. So they start, messing around with him and all that. They discover he's got like this huge amount of gold, but they let him pass. sorry, I'm jumping ahead. So they don't discover, but they let him pass, even though he gave them like a dirty look or something like that, because the guys that were behind him are even worse, right? That was their general and the sharpshooter and all that behind him. So he runs into those guys, and those guys find out that he has all this gold, and they make him run into a minefield, and he uses like all this kind of cunning and witting to like make the mines explode to kind of disguise him so he could pick up the gold and run away and all this stuff. Well, it turns out that this guy is actually super agent guy from Thing, and they mess with the wrong guy. He's got a dog. They mess with his dog. This is where a lot of the John Wick stuff's coming in.
Yeah.
I read the like a lot of people after watching the movie. I'm like, what do people think of this movie? Because I thought it was kind of stupid, but a lot of people love it. A lot of people think it's great. You might really enjoy it. But I just found it to be like a lot of like I've been here. I've done this already. Yeah. It was lacking the character and the heart of John Wick, which is kind of weird to say because I know John Wick is just a action movie, but he lost his wife kind of thing.
There's just enough in John Wick. It's like just enough, especially the first one. The first one spends quite a bit of time like looking at his now day-to-day life of just being miserable.
Right.
And then it kicks into action movie mode.
Right. And I think it was pulled off very well in John Wick. I really like that part. But in this movie, there was just, like it relies a lot on grossing you out kind of thing. And just watching him do a lot of, I don't know, gross stuff to get out of bad situations. Like at one point they hang him and I don't know if he has some sort of weird breathing technique or something like that, but he's able to survive for a bit. And then to survive the night, he kind of like, he's hung onto this sign, like it's a gas station sign. And they have the rope over the sign kind of thing. So he kind of finds like a piece of barbed wire that's hanging out, and he kind of like just jabs it into his side. So like the pressure of his body is on this piece of barbed wire, so he doesn't suffocate to death. And I'm just like, okay, I don't know. He goes back to his hometown. His hometown is completely torched, and he's all like devastated. And it's like, well, what did you expect? What did you think you were coming back to? You just went through all these Nazis and everything who are laying waste to everything. They're even hanging their own kind. Like, if you don't want to do this, we'll just hang you and move on kind of thing. They're horrible. I don't know what he was expecting going back to his hometown. Like, he just kind of seemed stupid.
It makes sense. You got to check it out.
Oh, no, I'm not saying that. It's just that he was completely devastated. Like, he was shocked that this had happened. And it's like, dude, what did you expect?
Still, I can see that part. You hear something bad happened, and then you're like, well, I still got to see it. And then, wow, it just
came off as really hammy to me. And I tried to like really like, because I like the 2008 Rambo movie, which is very blood and guts and cheesy effects, and the John Wick movies. And I really tried to sit and think, like, why do I like those movies? But there's just something about this movie. And I think it was just, I've been there and done that. I've seen this already. It
could be a bit of, been there, done that. Character, performance, there's a lot of different elements to it.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose. I don't know. Like, I wonder if I had seen this movie, like if it came out 10 years ago, if I would have liked it a lot more. But I don't know. It just,
well, it's probably, speaking of Die Hard.
Yeah.
The Die Hard formula. After Die Hard, everything became, Under Siege, Die Hard on a boat.
Right.
Sudden Impact, Die Hard in a hockey stadium.
Yeah,
everything was kind of like, how can we reproduce that formula? But different.
Yeah.
And then John Wick came out. That was a big hit. And then suddenly there's all these, there's even a Tom Cruise one where he's like a guy who, I've got the secret past. I was a high official, assassin, killer, military guy with special training, Jason Bourne, the Bourne Identity, that kind of thing, where it's just, okay, let that character, but we're going to put the I mean, that's been done for a long time. I'm ex-CIA, I'm ex-special forces, whatever. But then put the John Wick type action on it of just like
Yeah.
quick hits and fast kills and, improvising with regular objects and things.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know. Just a lot of it was cliched. Like I've seen this thing. Like you can just tell the beats are coming, and I don't want to. Like it's kind of weird, but like they didn't. It's a gross movie in a lot of ways, where they go for the gore, but they also don't go for the jugular. Like John Wick, the dog dies, right? Spoiler alert. The dog dies, which is like, oh, that's like a gut punch, right? And this, the dog is as quick and nimble as he is. Like they can't kill the dog, even, and it's like, how dangerous are these Nazis? They can't even kill a friggin' dog. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Is this like a major release, or is this some straight to video streaming thing?
It's very professionally done. Like it's not cheap. It doesn't look cheap. It doesn't look very expensive to make because there isn't a lot of locations and there aren't a lot of actors in the film. So I'm guessing it wasn't made for a lot of money, but it is a very professional, slick looking film. I know the director is from, he's either Finnish or Norwegian, whichever country the movie was made in. I'm sorry, I'm just an ignorant Canadian that can't tell the difference. But and he's had successful movies in the past, but I don't know. There's just something about it that's it was just off. It was just boring. Bland is the word. I as much as exciting things were happening, like I kind of need a little more than that, It was just, I didn't feel for the character. I didn't care that he found all this money. And now I will say the last line in the movie that I had to go look up because there was no subtitle. That was pretty funny. So I gave the movie an extra half a star for that because it was pretty funny, but that was it.
Sisu is a 2022 historical action thriller film set in Finnish Lapland during World War II.
Yeah, Finland. That's what I said.
Film follows a former legendary Finnish commando and gold prospector.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this was where was this movie made?
In Finland. It's done in
Finland.
it's done like the tundra is there. It's very it's got a western vibe to it. A lot because of the tundra, kind of looks a lot like a desert kind of thing.
It's just
So I don't know. You might like it. It's on Josh's Plex if you want to check it out, and it might be up your alley. I don't know. I don't know. There was just something off about it. I can't exactly pinpoint what it is. I have some theories, but
I got to rewatch Die Hard 2.
Yeah, I don't know why you need to do that. I'm not sure why.
Because it was cheap. Do you have a copy of Die Hard 2 on your shelf?
I have found Die Hard 2 out in the wild many times, and I did not buy it because I don't want that movie in my collection. It's not the.
Oh, how about Die Hard 3? Dennis Franz is in that one too.
I love Dennis Franz. NYPD Blue is one of my favorite shows from the 90s.
Sipowicz and John McClane.
He is not. He is not Sipowicz in that movie. He is something else. I don't know.
He was Sipowicz in Psycho 2.
I don't like any of the Die Hard sequels. There you go.
Did you know that Dennis Franz was also in Popeye?
No, but I do now.
Yeah. He gets beat up by Popeye.
By the way, he hasn't done anything in a long time. He should come back. He should do something.
Well, I'm sure he made a nice little chunk of change off of his NYPD Blue run. He became the face
of NYPD Blue.
NYPD Blue, yeah.
Sure, yeah.
Well, he was the second fiddle.
That's right, to David Caruso.
Originally.
Yeah. And then he became the second fiddle to the guy who replaced him.
The Jimmy Smits.
Jimmy Smits. And then finally.
He got the top billing when Ricky Schroeder came on. When he
Ricky Schroeder and
when he started doing the show with like 80s sitcom kids.
The buddy from Saved by the Bell.
Mark Paul Gosselaar.
Yeah.
He wasn't bad on the show. Ricky Schroeder had a rough time, and
Yeah,
then they
Ricky
just got
Schroeder
rid of
was
him.
tough to watch, and I'm glad that they got rid of him. But Mark Paul
Sorry,
Gosselaar was
Rick Schroeder had a time.
whatever. He wasn't. Yeah, they made him too stupid. He was really dumb in the show, and it's like
I don't really remember his part. I just remember that he had an off-screen death or something. They just kind of came back in the next season, like, oh, he died.
yeah. Oh well. It's because he showed his butt. Oh.
That's right. You had to pay him extra for that.
All right, one more movie I want to talk about before we sign off. I want to end on a high note. By the way, I'm watching Oz right now, which is that HBO show, which is pretty good. So we'll talk about that the next time. But this is for all the Canadians out there. I watched on Amazon the Mr. Dress Up documentary. Excellent. If you're Canadian, Gen X, watch that. It'll bring you to tears. Bring you to tears. Remember when he was sexual harassment, Homer? Yes. Everything comes back to The Simpsons for
no, I don't.
Not Mr. Dress Up,
Dennis
but
Franz.
Dennis Franz. Yeah. Oh, it's doing that thing where I can't get rid of the comment. Oh, there it goes. All right.
Yeah.
Anyways, Mr. Dress Up. I did not know this. There's been a Fred Rogers movie starring Tom Hanks. There's been a Fred Rogers documentary out recently. Both Academy Award nominees, both American, that do not mention how Fred Rogers actually came to Canada in the 1960s. Go away. I can't.
You just can't shake that sauce.
I can't shake that sauce. Oh my God. That is terrible. Anyways, Fred Rogers came to Canada in the 1960s. I can't even find a good. This is really distracting.
It's gone.
Is it? Okay, there we go.
I don't see it.
Fred Rogers came to Canada in the 1960s and did 300 episodes for the CBC because they were the CBC was the only place that he could get funding to do the kind of children's show that he wanted to do. So he created the trolley and the Imagination Land in the back with the puppets and all that. All that he did here in Canada on the CBC with Ernie Coombs, who was Mr. Dress Up. Ernie Coombs was like his right-hand man and puppeteer in that. So after 300 episodes in a couple of years, Fred Rogers obviously wanted to go back to the United States because he was an American and he wanted to bring his vision to America, even though Canadians were very good to him. But whatever, bye, Fred. But in his wake, they wanted to continue. The CBC wanted to continue on doing a series, so he's like, give it to Ernie Coombs, let him take it over. So the first 300 episodes of Mr. Rogers are Canadian.
Wow.
Just so you know. So then, Mr. Dress Up took over. He took over the show. He called it Butternut Square. Had a big budget where they had like this whole square and a bunch of people and all that. Then the CBC, in its infinite wisdom, we have this great, they're always about Canadian culture and promoting Canadian things and unique Canadian things. And we get this thing. And then they're like, we got to slash the budget on it. We got to cut in half. So basically they gave Ernie Coombs half of a studio to do his Butternut Square show in. And he's like, well, I can't do that. So he cut it down to just the one character, Mr. Dress Up, set up this little, studio home and the offshoot off to the side with the tree house where Casey and Finnegan lived on. And that's where he did his show for some 40 odd years. It was a great documentary. It's just so funny to see how, like in the 60s, that was a set that was built on a budget. And that's the same set that they used basically throughout the entire run of the series. They updated a few things here and there. But for this documentary, for this Amazon documentary, they recreated the whole set and did nothing with it. Basically, here's the old set. You don't see it throughout the whole documentary. At the end of the documentary, they turn the lights off on the old set. I'm like, They didn't even use it. What was the point of that?
Just for the lights. That's it.
But anyways, fantastic documentary. He had a really interesting life and philosophy, and yeah, man, it'll bring you to tears, man. Bring you to tears. It's always one of the
I'm
best.
getting misty just thinking
It was
about
one of the
this
best
person
TV
that I've
shows.
never heard of.
That's you're missing out, man. You should have showed your kids Mr. Dress Up. Say, watch this. Watch some Mr. Dress Up. It might be on YouTube. I don't know.
I'm sure there's clips here and there.
All right, that's everything.
There must be.
I don't even know if I want to mention this. If you listen to the latest episode of STC Pod,
I haven't, but I have noticed that there's a new episode.
they're all butthurt over the fact that I didn't bring them in on me selling my video game collection.
Mm-hmm.
I swear to God, with those two, I feel like I'm Spock.
Bring you in like you're supposed to share your profits with them?
I don't.
Or you're supposed to set up a table with them at a convention.
I've been selling my video games for at least, I don't know how many years. At least 3. I sold a bunch to Hodge a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. He was doing that 600, his road to 600 NES games. I'm like, send me your list. And I took all the NES games I had in my collection that he didn't have, and I sold them to him. Mm-hmm. Bill and Joe knew this. They knew that my stuff was up for sale. They could have approached me.
Oh, they wanted to get your stuff.
They wanted to buy my stuff. They wanted to buy my video games at a discount, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I should have. The way Richard's lighting up right now, I thought his eyes was glazed over because.
Well, I was like, I don't understand why they would want you to like sell with them. Like, what's the purpose? You're going to
they wanted
all the benefits.
They wanted to go through my collection and basically take whatever they want.
Okay.
Now, I live a half a province away from them. I'm 3 hours away from Bill, 4.5 hours away from Joe. Mm-hmm. Joe does this collecting on the down low, like his family's not allowed to know about it. Bill's got a house full of crap. What are the logistics of them coming up to? Are they coming up to Sudbury to buy the stuff? Am I going down there? Am I pulling all this stuff out and taking photos of it and saying, do you want this? Do you want that? What are the logistics of this? Then the stuff has been for sale for like, I don't know how many years. That not once did they offer to buy anything. Now all of a sudden they're butthurt that I didn't offer them first dibs on my video game collection. I don't get it. I feel like sometimes I feel like I'm Mr. Spock and Jim Kirk left me in charge of the Enterprise. And I'm sitting there and the message comes in from Starfleet. Your in-laws are moving out of the house. There is a bunch of stuff that's coming into the house. You got to make room for this stuff. So what are you going to do? Well, the intent is to sell the video game collection. How do I make that happen? I reach out to my friends who own a video game store. They cut me a great deal and all that. And while I'm doing all this stuff logically, with pure logic, as Mr. Spock does, I got these 2 Dr. McCoys over my shoulder saying, bro prices, give us the bro deal. Where's the bro price? How come I don't have my bro? Like, what is wrong with you guys? If you wanted to buy my stuff, you had ample opportunity to do it. I don't get it. You're
trying to rationalize the behavior of addict. They're still in that zone where they got to buy this, they got to buy that. They're into it.
I guess
any lead they got to look into.
Anyways, the percentages that were coming out of their mouths are way off. They said how much I got and how much they would have owed. Like, who's paying the $100 in gas to go? Like, I brought a full carload over to that shop down the street, a full carload. I'm driving that all the way down to Southern Ontario for what? For you guys to go and pick through what you want? Like, I don't get it.
I don't know.
And then I hear that Bill is upset that I didn't let him in on when I sold my music equipment a year ago when we were moving. And I'm like, what of my music equipment did you want? I sold Sarah's drum kit. He's got no room for a drum kit in that house. He'd have to put it on the roof if he wants a drum kit, or maybe in his backyard or something. My bass guitar, my bass amp, as far as I know, he's got no interest in that stuff. The only thing he would have interest in is the one guitar I sold, an Epiphone Dot, that he already has. So I don't know why he'd want that. And then the other one was like a heavy metal type of guitar that he wouldn't. The only time I ever see him play over the past 20 years is for Bob Dylan's 80th birthday. That was it. So I don't get it. All the stuff was up on Facebook. Anybody could have had dibs on it. So I don't know. Maybe that's Bill's responsibility to get on Facebook and see what's happening over there once in a while. But anyways, I listened to that episode and I was like, at first I was like, okay, these guys are joking. And then they doubled down for the end. We want to hear why you didn't let us in on. And I'm like, what planet are you guys on? I know I'm supposed to be buried on Mars, but I really don't know what planet you guys are on sometimes. I don't get it. Anyways, that's it. And we're losing. See, every time we talk about Bill and Joe, we just lose the viewers. They just they disappear. That's why I don't want to get into it, but whatever. Anyways.
Well, I just replaced a lot of DVDs, so I'm going to be selling a few of those. If anybody wants in,
there you go.
Let me know.
How are you going to get over to Japan to get some DVDs?
Just come on over this weekend. I'll leave it open. Like, hey, it's Saturday. Maybe I'm going to do this tomorrow. If you want anything, just stop by anytime before then.
Insanity. All right. That's it. Thanks everybody in the chat. Rocket Sauce. We had Mike LeBrain here. We had Midlife Crisis, who I'm just now realizing isn't that the old ass gamer? Isn't that the old ass gamer? I think that's the logo. Oh well. I think that's him. He knew Sauce, so I know they're friends. So okay. Anyways.
I don't know. People have different names.
We had Chris here for a second, and you were here for a second. That was good.
Yes, it was.
All right. I don't know why this thing does not work now. Oh, well. Anyways. That's it.
Did you know that next time we record, it's going to be December?
It is?
What's up with that? We're peaking in
2023.
December.
2023, flying right by, man.
I don't know.
It's insane.
Hey, I didn't talk about video games.
Neither did I. Did you want to talk about video games?
Last time we talked, I said if I could buy an arcade machine, I would buy Bubble Bobble.
Yeah.
I've recently discovered just how good Defender is.
Defender's fun. Yeah.
I never played the arcade version before. I had only played it on the 2600.
Okay.
I played it a lot on the 2600, and I was never very good at it. The arcade, you've got like 5 buttons. It's crazy.
Really?
You go up and down with the joystick, but you've got your booster. It's a button to make you move.
Okay.
So you're not using that. You have one button to boost, one button to fire.
Yeah.
You have one button to switch going left or right. And then you've got a button for like warping to like a random spot on the screen.
Oh.
And then you've got like a tactical nuke, some sort of explosive that'll get rid of everything on the screen.
So where did you play this? You actually played the arcade cabinet? Or
well, I got it on my arcade emulator dealy.
Okay.
The retro Raspberry Pi.
Right.
And I had never messed around with it before because I told you last time I had a bunch of games. I whittled that down to 25.
Did you let Bill and Joe in on your whittling down? Did you?
No, but I do have the digital files if you still
send your hate mail
them with you.
Bill and Joe, send your hate mail to Rambox, Kara, Japan.
But I left Defender on there and I started playing it. I was like, this game is really challenging. It's really fun.
It is good. I like it.
Fun game.
Yeah.
Excellent game.
All right. I've been playing Far Cry 5. We just had the stressful move. That all went successfully. It's all done now. The house is signed off. It's no longer in the family. huge relief. And then after like a big, stressful thing like that, I just like to lose myself into a world. I just like to go in and have like, there's that little bit of a learning curve at the beginning of a game like that. But then once you know what you're doing, like you don't have to relearn controls and all that stuff. And that's what I appreciate about a big long game like that, is that you could just turn it on and play for 20 or 30 minutes, do like a little mission or whatever, and not have to relearn stuff. I find that relaxing. So that's what I've been messing around with. And it's not a great game in terms of story or anything. I skip all the story because I don't care. I actually hate it when the story takes over the game, but there's like a lot of collecting in there and fishing. You can go like all these little fishing holes and collect or search for different fish. And right now I am, searching all, like it takes place in Montana during like some sort of weird sort of semi-apocalypse thing where the government's kind of like messed up. There's no real American government in Montana right now, and it's this religious cult that's coming in and trying to take over, kind of thing. So you're always battling with this religious cult to keep American freedom alive. And so I'm just going around trying to like go into people's cabins, like abandoned cabins, and a lot of what are they called? Preppers. They have the thing under the ground, the big
the
ocean
bunkers,
liners.
like
Underground. So you go in there and they're all abandoned, and that you're looking for like fishing magazines to find out which lakes to go and fish for certain fish. And that, so I find that relaxing. Go find the magazine. Oh, you can find this fish in this lake, and then go to that lake. And you can go look it up online if you really wanted to find out which lake to go to. But I find it more fun to go and search in people's bunkers and abandoned cabins to find fishing magazines. That's what I do to relax.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. All right.
There you go.
That's it. Now we're done. Now we
All
are
right.
done for sure. All right. Thanks for watching and listening, everybody. Talk to you next time.
Bye.
How come nothing's working? End stream.